Yes, and we are. Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to FMA Discussion episode 72. And today we are featuring Maestro Jon Escudero. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, hi, all good. I'm all good.
Oh, good. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and making accommodating your schedule to do this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just switched off the extra speaker feedback.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, I'm good.
so,
I'm good.
uh,
I'm good.
how are things over there? How's it going?
Well, it's pretty much, I guess, like everywhere else, hands are tied and we're pretty much stuck where we are.
Mm,
There are lockdowns in progress. Yes, there are restrictions. We're allowed to. You can go out and buy stuff. Just recently, they allowed family gatherings, but limited to family gatherings up to like 10, 20 people at home. But unless you're working in an essential sector, you really can't. So that means no leisurely training activities at all.
mm,
So teaching, training outdoors. If you've got a trainer, you can't. But if you're just messing about with friends, you can get away with it. So the rules are pretty how do we say this, ambiguous.
okay. Yeah. So, are you guys, with regards over there, do you guys have to be, masked up, or what's the rules?
Yes. Well, when you're in public, when you're in public space, you have to wear a mask. Um, Keep social distance. The lines have all these markers, so
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to
yeah.
stand in. The usual. I mean, the protocols internationally are pretty much synchronizing. It's getting pretty much the same. But over here, the it's a bit tricky over here because the mix with the political situation. I guess it's similar like in the States where there is a low confidence in the government at the moment and some favoritism going on for specific sectors.
Yeah,
So the secular population is mad.
yeah, yeah. Amplify that by 100 over here.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
uh, Israel is a small country, so you feel it immediately. The turnover is fast
mm, yeah.
because it's a smaller population.
I just can't believe, before we jump into the meat and potatoes, I just recall in March. I can't speak on where you are, but the initial
Mhm.
message was like 2 weeks. Yeah, we have to
Yeah,
shut
yeah,
down for 2 weeks, and here we are, 8 or so months later, with really no kind of end in sight, or vaccine, or what have you.
yeah. I've always thought of myself as a pessimist, but apparently I'm pretty much optimistic because we were supposed to be in the Philippines this year. My organization was supposed to host its first international conference. It was sort of a homecoming for the
Mm,
different groups under me. We were gonna go do it in Palawan, and then we were gonna meet up with the head of the organization, and then we are gonna meet up with the other organizations. It was gonna be great, and we
yeah,
were like, "Oh, Corona, okay, it'll pass." It's still January. The event's still in March. It'll be great by then. It'll be okay, and here
yeah.
we are in
I know,
October.
with no, I know. So, all right, we got a bunch of people, folks. If you're watching, please take the time, tell us where you're watching from, and all that. I appreciate it. All right, we're gonna just so let's get into it because I got a bunch of questions for you and all that. And so, your first FMA experience, who, when, and where?
Well, when it comes to the Filipino martial arts, I started in the University of the Philippines. So, you know, it wasn't my first martial art there in the university. I started with the Wushu Club. I mean, watching all these Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, all of these
Yeah,
Sammo Hung.
like the rest of us.
Yeah, growing up in the Philippines, Hong Kong movies are right there, and the addiction to these movies. My dad was uh, such an addict that he'd skip work and John, let's go to the movies and we'll watch double features, you
Oh
know,
gosh.
and then so that was it. He'd play hooky,
Oh
and
wow.
so yeah, so that got me into the martial arts in general. Well, yeah, yeah. So in college and you're basically university, when you start in Asia, like in the Philippines, you start off pretty early, like 15, 16. So you're still young, you don't know what you want to do, and eventually I found this wushu club, so I trained with them and all that, until I found the Arnis group in the university.
Mm.
So that's where it all begins. You know, funny thing is, the 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 guy who was standing as instructor at that time was Professor Okano.
Professor Jacan. Okay, okay. So were
Yeah,
you doing? So was your first experience before we get deeper into it? Was it then? Was it scientific lightning?
yeah, straight up lightning
Oh,
scientific. Yeah,
so that was your first, and oh, okay, okay. So
yeah,
Professor Jacano. Okay.
yeah. Because the funny thing is, you know, coming from Chinese martial arts originally, you know, when I was seeing all the tournaments in the Philippines at that time, in the malls and stuff like that, uh, I didn't really connect with it,
Mm,
because it's like I couldn't understand the point system. I couldn't understand who's winning, who's losing, because it just looked like a cockfight. Pop, 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 pop,
yeah, it's
pop, pop,
quick.
pop,
Then
pop,
they
pop, pop, pop,
separate them, and then they
right?
go.
And
They
you're
separate them.
Yeah, and you're confused by the point systems.
Mm,
You don't know whether it's how many points per target or aggregate points,
mm,
and it's like you don't know if takedowns are allowed. You don't
yeah.
so it was very different. So it didn't really resonate with me until there was this one parade we do at in the university where the different martial arts groups were invited by one of the fraternities to like we'll do a parade and then they'll feature the different martial arts and they'll do demonstrations at each of the colleges. And you know okay, at that time, when you're young you think you're a hot shot. And you think you're badass, and then you see something. Wait a minute, that's cool. In Philippine terms, that's a stig. That's badass. What they were doing, and this was Master Elmer Ibanez's group, and you're like, whoa, why?
Oh,
Why don't
okay.
I know this shit? I'm
Yeah.
Filipino. I don't know this. He's like, you know. So yeah, well, I didn't jump in immediately, but that was like very eye-opening. That hey, that's different from what I'm seeing. It's not this flailing around cockfight that
Mm.
I'm seeing. That actually presents a lot of technique, strategy, control. You know,
Controlled
so
aggression. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the how do we say this? Well, but it's not just about the techniques. It was about process.
Mm.
The process of using violence and aggression, to meet basically tactically to achieve a goal. It wasn't this wild thing that was just like
Yeah, where they're just
wild animals flailing
where
around,
they're
right?
counting points off or who's got the
Yeah,
most.
yeah,
I'm, and don't quote me on this. I'm not well versed in weak calf or anything like that, so I don't want to be
yeah,
misquoted. But my understanding is it's the accumulation of points and all that.
hmm
Um,
yeah,
yeah, but like I tell everybody, better than nothing. You know what I mean? So I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree completely. I mean,
yeah,
when it comes to the sport aspect, the limitations that are imposed on us by the safety equipment is, a bit frustrating because there's so much that can be implemented or brought into the game, but we're totally limited by by safety issues.
yeah, which I understand insurance and people getting hurt. So
Yeah,
I definitely
also
see
cost.
the cost. I definitely see their side. absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
for sure. So then, okay, that's your first at the university with Professor Tucano.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how,
A funny thing, he was also the advisor for the Wushu club. So it was a definite shoo-in.
yeah, you weren't escaping them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
So,
that's where that starts. And eventually, as things progress, well, Master Elmer moved to the States. He immigrated to the United States, and uh,
oh, I didn't
through
know that. Huh.
yeah, yeah. If I remember right, he immigrated first to Los Angeles, I think, and then
Wow. I don't
eventually
know
to
why.
Seattle.
I never knew that. Huh. I never realized he
Oh, missed
relocated.
opportunity?
I would say so. Yeah. I just assumed him and Mong Ben. Well, I mean, we're in the film. I never knew he like relocated. Wow. Yeah, definitely. Like what year?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I don't remember. Actually, you'll have to ask Professor Okana about that.
What year did he? Do you recall what year he passed?
I don't either. I don't either.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I really missed the opportunity. So
Okay, yeah.
that's more or less why I'm asking on the dates. Yeah, I guess to rub it
Yeah,
in.
I'm really horrible with dates,
Yeah, yeah, no worries. I could
so
find
it's
out.
like
Yeah.
I'm always counting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No worries. I can. Yeah. So then, all right. So obviously, you're seeing what you're like at this kind of compilation of styles and what have you. So festival and that. Is that when you made the transition to Master Element?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
no, the transition was from the university group was the transition to Mang Ben himself because we got lucky. We got lucky because apparently there were instructions that we'd be moved to training with Mang Ben after Master Elmer moved to the United States.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when we did, it took a while because there were some issues. There were some issues popped up that kind of got in the way of our group moving to the Grandmaster, but we
Mm,
eventually did. And when we did, it was like, wait a minute, we feel like noobs again in a way because how do we say this? Mang, uh, Mang Ben had a different insight into whenever we're doing the techniques. I guess it could be said that when you're younger, you're focusing on the mechanics of learning how to do the stuff, and then when we moved to Mangben, the mindset was you gotta do your mechanics to hit him. Your goal is to hit him and not do this all these mechanics.
yeah, yeah. So that's
So
okay. So
that was the yeah that was what happened when we moved there. Of course, our technology expanded, of course. Uh, but at the same time it was really the focus of it, the focus of learning under him and then being under his critical eye.
mm,
And one of when you messed up, that's when his eyes look at the floor and he's looking somewhere else and he doesn't want to make eye contact with you because
also he's like maybe like pretending he just didn't see what
yeah,
he saw.
yeah, and he'd shake his head, and then if you do it again, that's when he get up. It's like no, 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 no. Then he stands up and corrects you.
Yeah. So hopefully the first time by putting his head down and looking off, you'll get the
Yeah,
cue. Not the,
yeah,
the second
he
time
was a
he's
very
getting up.
old school gentleman. Now the oldies, those his contemporaries say he was very more. He was much more different then, because I guess he was younger, and all that. It was when we were with him, he was already into his late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
I think
huh?
he passed away at the age of 82. So you know,
Yeah, he's already up
it
there.
was how do we say this? Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
So
okay, so just general time frame. I'm assuming this is in the 90s, late 96, I
yeah.
think is what I read.
Well, I started about 95, 96, 97. I started on that time. So this was already into the early 2000. I think Mangben
Okay,
passed in
okay.
2004, 5 or is it 7? Ah, I'm really bad. I hope he doesn't haunt me.
No. So then, all right. So the group moved. You're now officially kind of with Long Ben. Um,
Yeah.
just in regards to him, I guess before we get into the system, so to speak, and what made it different or what it specializes and what have you.
Yeah.
Let's get into him as a teacher. Like,
Yeah.
what did he try to instill in the students? Was there, overall, was he patient teacher? I mean, we already got the idea that he put his head down, hoping that you didn't make the same.
Uh, well, my personal experience with him, I guess. Well, he's patient when I would say he's patient if he likes you, but there's limit to how many times you can strike out with
Oh, before
him.
your hand? Okay, before you get the pink slip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was this time I was training with him. I was training. Yeah, he was teaching me, and he was teaching one of those slashing angles. And okay, I thought I got it. Takes his knife and thrusts in reverse, and instead of contacting the stick, I contact his thumb, right? And I'm like, fear. But he looks at me, looks at his finger, rubs it, blows on it a bit, goes back, does it again. And idiot me, I do it again.
Oh,
It
no.
lands on the same spot. And he
Oh my
looks
God,
at me,
you're
it's
thinking
like,
like, am I
he
dying
takes a
today?
big, yeah, dude, he takes a big breath. And then, all the other guys are like, oh,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. And then, dude, I kid you not, I do it a third time.
Oh my God. I think I would have packed my stuff and
I
ran.
I wilted. So, he's like suddenly he's like he shakes his head and then he looks at me and says that on the street that's great.
Yeah.
Not in training. Then then he he goes up to the side and we put the ointment on him and he massages his thumb, and later on we go back to training. But you know, oh man, he still spoke to me after, and he still spoke with me on the drive back. So I guess he forgave me. So as a teacher, I would say he can forgive you, but you know the he has a lot of emphasis on doing things right,
Mm,
focusing and all that, and he'll forgive you for your mistake, but there's a limit.
there's a limit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the example you gave, obviously there
in
was
in,
empathy.
in in my time when he was teaching our group, he was he had their general structure. He'd start everybody regardless of rank. You all line up in certain positions and all that, and then everybody goes through his basic sets.
Okay.
Everybody goes through the strike angles. Everybody will do the methods, and then okay, then he has like a mandatory sequence of drills that he has to see all of you doing, and then
That's
there'll
great,
be the
though.
big
Everybody,
drills.
yeah,
Yeah. And then afterwards, okay, so the next that probably takes like a half hour, and then the rest is like, okay, so let's split you guys up into your groups, and you got to work on your specific skill sets. And so that was the general structure of the class with him.
mm, no, excellent, excellent. No, I like the fact that he had everybody do the same thing regardless of their rank and what have you. You
Yeah,
know, yeah.
yeah.
Um, so
And
with
uh-huh.
as far as the system goes, I mean, and, when I had Guru Tom Pena on, he gave us, definitely some insight and all that. But I guess, we'd like to hear from you and your perspective.
Yeah.
As far as the system overall, what can you tell the viewers who perhaps are maybe not that familiar with it?
Well, let's start first with because Lightning Scientific Harness is a Serada system, not to be confused with the Cabalya Cerradas lineage.
Yeah.
Now, so that it's basically the way we interpret it as well, because like for example, for us it can either be a position, a stance, or a structure, right? So as a Serrata system, we also look at the concept or principles of blanketing and aggressively attacking the opponent, constant forward pressure.
Okay.
So to us, from the word cerrado, to close, that's what we're doing. We're closing in and closing them down, shutting them down. So that's
Overwhelming
what
them.
cerrada is for us.
Okay.
Come
So
again?
overwhelming them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So dominating and overwhelming with constant forward pressure,
All right. So
right?
trying to
And how
control
we
their
do that,
center. Okay.
yeah, and how we'll do that would depend on range structures, because we
Okay.
have structures which work in the long range, we have structures that work in the largo range, and we have structures that work when we're stuck in the same place.
Okay.
So we need, it's basically controlling your center line, controlling your space, controlling the forward pressure, and how can you, it's not just avoid, but rather redirect all that pressure into
Mm.
advantageous angles for you,
Okay. Oh, fascinating.
right?
Awesome. Yeah. I remember doing
Mang
palm
Ben would say his
maintenance.
system is Mang Ben would specifically say it is a lightning espada idaga cerrada system.
Oh, spotty. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's one of the more major Ilongo systems around. And
so
how do we say this? As it's like some of the more popular or more some of the other systems around have learned some of their espada idaga from Mang Ben.
oh, from him. Okay. They're influenced by him.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And he
Yeah.
was, if I'm not mistaken, he was left-handed, correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's that's tricky, really.
Yeah. Like if you're right-handed, I mean, you got like no choice but to adapt. I mean, what do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was nice enough to break it down for us, righties.
Mm,
He was nice enough, but when to make the system shine would you'd have to have a good balance of seeing things from both perspectives, because there are
mm,
angles that you will not see if you focus mostly on, if you're right-handed, focus on one side. If you don't see the left-sided angle of the movements, then you're not maximizing it,
right. Okay.
because
Okay.
it comes naturally to him since he's dominating with his left hand, and
Mm,
we're forced to adapt the angles with our right.
yeah. That's got to be again. Just. I mean, wow. So
Yeah.
how? So obviously him giving you. No, he's being left-handed, southpaw, whatever you want to describe it. But in the class, I'm going to assume you guys were mostly, as far as training partners concerned, right on right, conventional, conventional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was, most people were taught right hand. Actually, the funny thing is when look back, I've probably only seen one or two lefties
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
people in the
what do
group.
they say? 90% of the population, give or take, is right-handed. Yeah.
Yeah, but would you believe that in my classes here, in a class of 20 people, I have like seven lefties.
So you got close to like you got like 40%. Wow,
Yeah,
that is
I, you
yeah.
know, I call this Monk Ben's dirty joke. It's like,
Yeah.
are you
You're getting
kidding
back
me?
at you for hitting his thumb 3 times.
Yeah, it's like you're sending me all the lefties to pay for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I'm just seeing how we're looking here live on it's not coming through above here. But oh, we got some people let me just take a moment here to acknowledge who's watching. Let me see here. All right. We got Fatima, Terry, Novus watching from the well,
I met Terry in the Philippines. He came
Kajo,
over one time.
Wade from Texas, Enrique from Ecuador. And we got Tuan Jack and Terry again. All right. Thanks, guys. Um, okay, so the system. So generally speaking, again, obviously I know there's more there, but so a very aggressive system to overwhelm and then take over basically center mass, center control. Is that
Yeah.
okay? And that's regardless of whatever weapon, whether it's single, double, short and long. Mm,
Yes. Well, that's the ideal. That's the ideal principle. The tricky part now is really which technique sets are appropriate for which ranges. Because how do you say this? Some of the bigger swinging motions will not be applicable in a tighter range, and same goes for all those short staccato movements will not be as effective in a much longer
Longer
distance.
range. Right.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, so it's really about how you're able to bridge the ranges.
Bridge the gap and then that obviously going to dictate what you're going to use. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's basically like if you were to use a boxing analog, like from a distance, how do you snipe with your jab? How do you set that up, and then you go in for your infighting, and how do you break down that distance, and how do you exit safely? So
Mm,
I
no.
would I would describe it as that you have to have constant pressure, whether you're blocking, intercepting, or attacking your target.
No. Okay. No. I mean, good stuff.
So what
Good stuff.
so these are principles, right? These are just principles where the so the okay here this is my bias showing the brilliance of it would be in the mechanics.
And the attacks. Okay. No, yeah,
Yeah,
that's good. No.
that's where I would see it.
Yeah. We have a question on here, Maestro. Is the system a stick or blade system?
It's a stick system. The
Stick
focus
system.
has been on stick. Yes. In as much as, yes, much of the methodology, much of the technology can be translated to blade work, much of the focus of training has been to develop power for crushing and bludgeoning.
Right.
For sure, that energy can be converted into cleaving, slashing power and all of that.
Yeah.
Uh, but of course, then this is where some adjustments would have to be made as per the weapon.
Huh. It's funny.
So yes, we focus on the stick side of it, but yes, there can be there is the application for it as blade, but it's not the focus.
Not the focus. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So, all right. So then with regards to his long and short, the
yeah,
focus or the interpretation was stick and dagger.
yeah. It was mostly baston daga.
Okay. Okay. No, no, makes no neat.
No, we,
Um,
we, we think of it as mostly an issue of practicality, because I mean, in civilized urban centers, walking around with a bolo nowadays is a bit problematic, and training
yeah,
with a
yeah, yeah.
bolo is dangerous. So that's partly some of that.
Yeah, but well, over here though, if you live in Texas, you're good. You can
Oh
carry a
man,
sword. You're good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, all right then. So, at what point you obviously in there, and obviously you're doing well because you're going through the ranks, and if I'm correct in this, you were the last one awarded master by Mong Ben.
Yeah, well, that's what, as far as I know, yes, as far as I know. And I know this because we were pretty much the last group that was with Mang Ben. We were the last bunch
Mm,
before his passing. Uh, we were pre- we were pretty much the group that he brought around for demos abroad and in the Philippines and stuff. So, uh, yeah, you know, it's it's one of those things that it kind of sticks with you. I guess it translates better in Filipino when you say you're bunso, you're the youngest, you're the runt of the litter.
Yeah, no, I think it's significant. I mean, you're the last one. I think it's absolutely significant. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I know. No, I can only say that because I mean, I, I was with a bunch of people who were promoted, so we were pretty much the last.
Yeah, no,
I was the
fantastic. And
youngest.
so, I mean, dude, so obviously, it sounds like you were with him to his passing. Am I correct in that?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. That absolutely had it. Well, hey, it sounds like you were a loyal, dedicated student, so I'm sure he's looking down and very happy with you. And
I just hope he doesn't haunt me, but
I think he already
begging for.
did with putting 7 left-handers in your class.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
So
you know,
hopefully hopefully your haunting is done. I did get another question though
okay.
from Guru Raul. Where did the empty hand techniques come from?
Well, most of the empty hand techniques within the system are clustered around a set called the club assault defense, which is basically like the old form of combat judo.
Okay,
So it's mostly interceptions against stick, but it can also be translated to interceptions against blade. That and follow us from those positions.
okay, okay, okay. No, it's great. Um, and then so at some point,
Also, yeah, in close quarters, the expression of hand to hand would be if similar to if you're using the movements of the espada y dago of punching, checking, blocking,
okay,
checking, and
okay,
it was pretty much in, connecting boxing and the baston sarada of the method of the system, where you
okay,
substitute your fist and arm instead of the baston.
okay, okay. No, good. So at what point? I guess before we get into after his unfortunate passing, were you at what point did you make your move to Israel? Was there some time? Was there a gap of time between that?
There was a there was a definite amount of time because uh, I think he found I, I founded my group in my group in the university in 2003 2004. I think he passed away in 2001 or 2002. Nah, bad with dates. Uh, but in 2006, I was invited by GM Rene Thompson to join the FMA festival in Tagaytay.
Okay,
So, he invited us, and well, he invited me, and then, which in a way invited Lightning. And at that time, I presented this to it wasn't cohesive completely yet as a council. We were still
hmm,
just like assembly of the masters, the recognized masters of the lightning system under Mang Ben. I presented this to them, and to send a representative to Tagaytay for this FMA festival. And I met a girl.
uh-oh. we know we
There
know
you go.
we know what happens there.
There you go.
Oh, we got the date.
Yeah.
Mon Ben passed
That was,
January of 2003. Okay.
thank you very much.
Uh,
Thank you. Fatima Fable. She's the
yeah,
current
yeah.
secretary of the
Thank you, Fatima.
council.
Always coming
She
through.
would know.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to have people around like that.
Yeah.
Before we, because I know what's coming up with the, I do have another question going back to the system, and then I want to definitely jump into your transition.
Oh.
Is the
Uh-huh.
system technique based or principle based?
I would say both. I would say
Oh,
both because,
okay.
like, well, the thing about it is it's well known for specific techniques. Like, for example, it's an illustrissimo system when you're seeing Estrella, you're seeing all these Aldabis, you're seeing all of this. It's an illustrissimo system from those techniques, right?
Yeah.
Now, so, whew, Lightning. Well, lightning techniques, and I know this from the discussions we have with some of the elders and all those who used to play the tournament circuit, dropping verticals and dropping the blood and the double strike. These are trade, not really trademark, I guess, because other people are doing it, but it was more common to find this in lightning people doing a
Yeah, right.
double
It's
strike
kind of
and
like
dropping
their
verticals
signature
and
move.
dropping the yeah, exactly, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
signature of the half strike with the vertical and the double strike. So that was one of those. So, but that's in the Largo system. But when we're playing Espada y Daga, you would see a specific flavor of sword and dagger movements of chop, thrust, cross,
I remember
check,
seeing videos of
overhead
him.
drop.
What you're
Yeah,
describing, I mean, he was doing that.
yeah,
Like the way you're describing
yeah,
is perfection. I could actually remember the video watching him kind of doing what you're
yeah.
describing. Mm,
Yeah, so
awesome.
exactly. So, those techniques, if you're familiar with Mangben, you associate with him. Yes, definitely, it's technique based. But um, when we're talking with the other elders, we were looking at it, and there was this classification of which came out of a
Mhm.
principle, which was tercia, cerrada, cadenilla, y espada y daga.
Yeah,
Right? So now, okay, wow, that's why we call it lightning. It's too long to call it by those Latin words.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So basically, it's a close quarter system. Tercia, cerrada, closing in or blanketing aggressively. Tercia, cerrada, cadinilla, chain strikes, multiple
Mm,
strikes. You have to be relentless with your striking, and then espada y daga with the sword and dagger.
yeah.
But part of one way to interpret sword and dagger just could be the ranges of the sword and ranges of the dagger. So you can play the salon, you can play the campo, you can play close in and longer distance. So that would be a way to express lightning in terms of as a principle.
Okay, fantastic. No, and we already kind of went over the signature moves. Hey, hey, Richard
Hmm.
from San Diego. Um, okay, so we're about to get to Israel, and you met a girl. So,
Oh yeah.
so I think I know where this is going, but let's hear it.
Between her version and mine, my version's better.
Let's take your version.
Yeah. Well, no, because she came to the Philippines to attend the FMA festival with a delegation from Israel.
Okay.
They were at that time under Brand Frank CSSD.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
So this group, yeah. So this group, I mean, of course, this festival was the first one. It was the third one of the Modernist group, but the first one that they were building up as an FMA festival to include other systems.
Okay.
So it was Modernist dominated, but other systems got involved, got invited, and there. So we met, and well, we had this Princess Bride moment. Are you familiar with this movie, Princess Bride? The whole Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to
Yeah.
die, that kind of thing, right? So after my set when I was teaching, I was partnered with Mang Bert Labaniego. After our set and we did our demonstration and session, she came up to me and said she wanted to learn the Espada y Daga because we did some Bigay Tama and she wanted to learn that. The interplay of the sword and dagger
Mm.
exchange. And then I said no. She asked if she could learn, and I might not have the time. So that's the trick, guys. Say no, because we're married now.
You might not have the time, and she actually forced that card to make you where you definitely have the time.
Yeah. No, because at that time I was involved with some movie choreography. So it's like you want to share the stuff, you want to share your knowledge, but I had prior commitments, and I did not know if by committing to another one would it compromise the other one. I did not know,
Mm,
and she was just very insistent about, well, do you teach on any other days in any other gyms? That way you don't have to come specially for me to train me. And oh, I train here, then I teach there. So she took every day of my schedule, and so we I met her every day. So we were training every day until the last week we were together, and you feel that um, you feel that tension where there's a lot of unspoken stuff going on, and we're like, uh, well, what's going on, right? And then she
yeah.
told me on our last week, I believe I've been a good student. I demand alcohol. And there we go. So I took her out socially to meet other people from the crew, from the movie, from the cast, and all that. And apparently, we had a lot in common. We had a lot to discuss. We had a lot of common ground. And in the end, apparently, we did not, we didn't want to be apart from each other. So she ended up staying with me in Manila for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. And eventually she had to come back to Israel. And
And
there we go.
you were going back to Israel or going to Israel.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
so
So
during that
that was
time,
that.
so before you moved to Israel, it sounds like you were teaching the system. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. I had a little group. I had a little group called Sunday School because we were training on Sundays. We were training on Sundays in the park in the university. And yeah, that was it originally started out as one of my Tai Chi groups. And
okay.
then it expanded. And then from there, okay, more people got interested in the stick work and all that. And yeah, it just grew.
So no, fantastic. Okay, so the big move to Israel, about what year?
Yeah. 2008.
So
Yeah.
2008, you go to
2008.
Israel.
That was January 1, 2008. I am good with this date because I started the new year here.
Okay, okay. So January 1st, 2008, you were going to Israel. At what? So you obviously you get in there. You obviously have to get acclimated and all that. When did you start teaching? Before we get into your what you system that you kind of created, when you went over there, what year did you start teaching?
February, same year. I started.
Oh wow!
I
So one
started
month you just
yeah,
jumped into it.
yeah, I started because what's nice about here in Tel Aviv, in Israel, there's a park here like Luneta. There's this one park, that one huge park where most of the martial arts groups go and train. So if you're
Mm,
there on a Friday morning, it's like you can spot all these different groups from A to Z.
yeah, I
So
hear
we,
it's
we,
wonderful.
we picked the spots, and of course, Neta and I would start training first. We'll train, and then she'd invite a friend over, and then
Oh,
the
word of mouth.
the formal, yeah, word of mouth, building that. Yeah, so we jump right in, and of course, there's a bit of a struggle because it's like, how do we cover costs and how do we do our advertising, marketing? How do we get
Sure,
people
yeah.
interested in this stuff? Because this is Israel. This is, people here are not, how do we say, they're no strangers to fighting.
Yeah.
So and people here travel a lot, so they have access to a lot of available systems, whether it be in Europe, Asia, United States.
Mm,
They can do it. So what can we do to show them that what we're doing is worth value?
okay. So is that kind
Yeah.
of what led to the creation of what you currently do? Is that kind of what led to the
Yes.
combatives aspect?
Yes.
So what
Because
year?
in as much as I uh the
So,
combatives aspect of it came out formally, was rolled out formally probably around 2010, something like that,
okay.
2010, 2011, because it did take some acclimatization.
So, is it fair
Yeah.
to say, because you went over to a different country and all that, that you wanted to? I'm trying to think how I can articulate this. Be I don't want to say accommodating per se, bringing a different element maybe to the system as opposed to they're seeing like long and short and stick and all that.
Well, let's look at the environment first. Well, what's because the form of combat has to address the dangers and the threats of the environment, right? And a lot of the threats and dangers here is close range, close quarters,
Mm,
sudden knife attacks, sudden stick attacks, things like that.
yeah,
So, attacks in buses, attacks in public transportation, things like that. So, a lot of it is close range. So, if your methodology is really big swings, like Desalon and Largo,
yeah, yeah.
well, it's not appropriate to the
Oh, no,
to the
understood.
environment or the context of combat. So you need to be if we're going to work a stick-based system, all right, in this range. How
Yeah.
do we do this effectively?
No,
So
no,
it's
no.
you need to break down your methodology and system to adapt to these threats.
No,
And of
I
course, the
understood.
type of
Yeah.
weapon you're using. What are we going to use? Tactical baton, a telescopic baton? Are we going to use short sticks? We have to make these adjustments.
Right. No, no. I think that's fascinating that you pick up on that and you kind of mold it, or I should say. So, just for the folks who are listening, and this
Well,
is
there was a learning curve. That
yeah, Guru, we're going to get to the modifying right now, matter of fact. So, in 2010, you're creating this, but at the same time, and I'll let you expand on this. You keep the kind of the classical part in conjunction with combative aspect. Am I correct in
yeah,
that? Okay.
yes, I use because when you think about it, how many techniques do you really need for close quarter combatives? You don't really need a lot,
Yeah.
right? You need a short set of aggressive moves, center line to aggressively address the center line contact,
Mm,
dominate it, resist any blowback. So you don't really need a lot of techniques, but it how do you clean up yourself? I mean, after because you're not fighting every day, unless that's your job, right?
yeah.
So how, this is where I use the classical material as special tools to refine, expand, the technology that we're working on, the close quarters range. For example, in close quarters, we're pretty much keeping things to banda, bouncing strikes, just
Okay.
chopping right down the center constantly. But you know, given time, if you have the leisure of time and to train, maybe you can throw something else in there that
Mm,
you wouldn't normally train or try if you only had this amount of time.
right. Okay.
But if you have more, maybe you can pick up some from the classical that you can apply in it. So this is where I find that there should be a kind of there is a kind of harmony. It's not one over the other, which is what I find funny nowadays when people are choosing one and putting down the other. When why can't they go together?
Yeah. Why not try to make a blend of the two and pick out the best of everything and see what you can fuse together that
Yeah,
makes practical sense. Yeah. No. No. Understood. I agree.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so
So,
that's
so
pretty
how?
much
Again,
what we're doing.
yeah, no, no, I think that's fantastic. Um, so then so with the relation to the combatives aspect, based on your description of the violence there and the close quarter nature of it, what are you teaching, like you mentioned, baston. I'm gonna guess palm stick, knife, things of like that.
Well, we try. Okay, we try to keep it to tactical baton, the palm stick, tactical flashlights. We
Like,
try to keep it to that
I think it's
because I
fantastic.
mean,
Okay.
in a way, there are these gray areas about of legality because to use a knife for self-defense does not really compute legally.
Oh, because of the laws there. Oh, okay. Okay, understood.
Right.
Okay,
So,
okay.
things like this. So I don't want to teach my guys to go to jail.
Yeah, yeah. You just wanted to teach them to get home safe, but not necessarily. Yeah, understood. Okay.
Yeah, that's that. So when we do work on the knife material, it's with the context that, okay, this is technically aggravated assault, but this is part of the methodology of using it efficiently,
Hmm.
you know. So that's why we're studying it this way. But if you don't want to cut somebody, then step down the weapon. Don't Your technique should be 100%, but step
Yeah.
down your weapon.
Right. Okay. Okay. So that's neat though. The flash, like, yeah. So obviously the palm stick, the flashlight, the baton. I mean,
I mean,
that
for practical purposes, tear gas is the most practical because it won't get you into the same trouble any other weapon
mm,
because that could be misconstrued as premeditated violence.
okay. And then you right, and here comes the legality. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Right. You don't want to obviously put your
But
students.
I tell my guys don't. But I just tell my guys don't let legality get in the way of
Yeah. No. I mean, right.
sacrificing your life.
No, I think that's a responsibility of an instructor. Like you have to make them
Exactly,
aware of
exactly.
potential
I
legality.
mean,
You know?
there's so much, how do we see, because of the internet and all these videos, people putting really cool stuff. All right, all these cool moves, cool techniques, blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We're freaking.
I tell my guys, I'm not putting together a knife cult.
Yeah, I know. You see all this like, and they're doing like these exotic templates. Like,
Yeah,
like I can go on about this. And one matter of fact, one of my episodes coming down in the future, I think is, and I'm probably going to get banished and shunned for it, but yeah, whatever. Is just like you see that, like these just like ongoing templates and like I know, and it's like I mean, there's so many things I was gonna say about it, but we'll leave that there. But what I want to get into now, and I think it's fantastic, by the way, that you address the legality with your students. I think that needs to be absolutely across the board with edge weapons and their students. So good on you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
so when you all right, so obviously you're in Israel. You are in the Mecca of Krav Maga. So what?
Yes.
How did that work out?
Well, it's actually pretty interesting. I mean, uh, how do we say this? Uh, because I'm seeing a lot of argument right now, good and bad, about Krav Maga. You know, but the thing about it is, what I find interesting about it is that the mindsets are very similar. You know, dominate, close
Mm,
quarter aggression. It's very similar in mindset to what we do. It's just that we're doing it armed. We're doing it with cold weapons. That's why actually we explain our methodology as cold weapon combat, as opposed to warm hot weapons like pistols, right? Firearms.
yeah.
So technically, what we do is cold weapon combat, and the mindset is similar to occupy and dominate the the center line and take over your opponent's actions. Now, my experience with Krav Maga is that, well, the though the mindsets are similar, um, what our focus has been mostly on the weapon use. Their focus has been to neutralize and take away the guy's weapon.
Okay,
So you
because
see,
the
we're
middle.
coming at
Yeah.
it from opposite sides. So it's like it's an interesting exchange because um, some of the guys I've met, they've never seen they've never seen the weapons move this way. So for them, it's an eye opener.
Yeah, right. Okay, okay. Oh, so some
That's
are
been mostly
open-minded.
the experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ones who I've met have been open-minded.
Okay.
You
Well, that's
know,
good.
there have been a few who are like, they shake their head and say, "Oh, we're never gonna meet a Filipino master like you at your level on the street." Blah blah blah. We're never gonna meet that. And I'm like, you met me today, right now, here, and right,
Yeah.
what happened? What I show you've never seen before,
Here's
right?
the
And
thing. I
I got
mean,
and, and I got away with it. And in
yeah,
real
yeah,
life, I
no,
only need to get away with it once.
and my argument to that comment would be is that I mean, well, when he said like, well, we're never going to see a mass on the street like that. But the point is, you train for the best, or like you train for the worst scenario, or like and all that. So when the chumps come around, they tend to be easier.
Yeah,
But if you don't set your parameters like high, that's just my
yeah,
thought. Like, I don't know,
yeah.
that would be,
So for me, I mean, I find Krav Maga useful. Okay,
yeah,
I find it useful because, it's the mindset is no nonsense. We're not even talking about technique, which techniques. That's beside the point or beyond the point. The point
mm,
is they it's learning how to. They teach you how to move under stress and work under stress, under
yeah,
duress. That's pretty much that, and that's the same thing we do. It's just that we're coming from a methodology where we we are we work armed,
mm,
or we
right.
favor
We're
the
there.
weapon, or we teach ourselves to turn anything around us into a weapon with the armed mindset.
I got you. Okay.
So that's where we have that harmony. Because I have some guys who are Krav Maga instructors under me, with me. So they're like, you know they want to be informed. They want to experiment. They want to
Yeah, they're
expand
open-minded.
beyond the regular text, because they normally say, what's going around is, oh, the attack on the street will only be like this or like this, and
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, dude, YouTube is free. All it takes is one guy to spend, 15, 20 minutes watching some badass
no,
YouTube clips,
yeah,
pick up some dirty techniques, and go on a stabbing spree.
yeah, I know. And I
That's
tell
all
you,
it
right,
takes.
exactly. And
So
look
where,
at the damage
so
he would do.
if you're not
Yeah,
prepared, right?
yeah. No, I agree.
If you're not prepared, if the escalation of the forces of evil, right?
No, no, no. I agree with everything you said, and I particularly really appreciate your whole thing on stress. Like I had this conversation with Tom, grew with Tom. Like you have to have stress inoculation in your training for your
Yeah,
students because you have to prepare them for that nightmarish where everything just doesn't break down here and they just fold. Like they have to, whether you're doing gradual increments, whatever, but that has to be in a classroom setting. You know,
yeah,
firm believer in that. Like how do you expect them to perform out there under that pressure if it was never introduced in a class setting? Like I don't understand that.
exactly,
You
exactly.
know?
You cannot face that pressure on the street for the first time.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah. I'm with you. I totally agree everything you said and your approach. But it sounds like it's nice that generally speaking, there's been positive exchanges between you and Krav Maga for the most part.
I'm getting a lot of positive acceptance with a lot of the younger generation, the younger instructors. Like
Mm,
guys around my age. Uh, it's those who are older or more
the
connected
older
to
guard.
the pioneer generation.
Yeah, the old
Those
guard.
who are closer to them, they're a little bit
Yeah,
harder to
that
please. But then
I
again,
can see that.
it's all good.
The old guard, the younger they're more open, they're not as emotionally and subjectively attacked thing.
Yeah,
The old guard, they're gonna have those attachments. It's gonna get in the way of
yeah, exactly.
objectivity. You see it over here. I mean it's
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. um so what I do have a question from Steve Grody. And what do you feel is the most important underrated train tactic?
I don't understand the question.
So
Trained tactic.
yeah, so this is basically what he sent. So what do you feel is the most important but that's underrated train tactic?
Hmm. That's actually a pretty good question.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said.
Underrated. Yeah,
So I was trying to think about it
I-
myself. Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess that's
Think,
important, but yet is very
um,
underrated, train tactic.
I guess tactics. So we're not talking techniques. I guess I'm biased, probably because I'm a smaller guy. So it's hard for me to go head on. I'll go head on the beginning to resist and match, but I will try to go around.
When you feel that forward
And
energy and centerline
yes,
pressure.
so yeah, so that works well with coming from wrestling and judo and stuff like that. When you meet,
Mm,
you I find which angle is and go around off balance. I guess that I would say that because
yeah,
from
yeah, I think
everything I'm seeing, it's go in and smash in and overwhelm, and it's hard for me to do when okay, my experience, I'm 5 feet 4 something inches. Tall. I am not tall, and I am teaching people 2 meters, 6 foot plus.
yeah,
I'm gonna get smothered. I'm gonna get crushed, man.
and weight
I've met,
inside, man. I don't care what everybody says. It's
yeah.
a factor. You know?
So, so some of these things where they say, yeah, you gotta stand in front of him and you gotta overwhelm him from the
Yeah,
front. And
hold
I'm
your
like, man,
ground.
that's David. That's hold your ground. And dude, this is
Like,
David and
I mean, like,
Goliath, right?
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, just reality check, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You to stand in the same place and trade blows. Are you crazy? Are
No,
you serious?
no, no.
So this is where I guess for me, coming from my experience, I want to go around. I'll go
Yeah,
around
why would,
where I
why would
can
you
go
want to
and
be on
wherever I
center?
can go around.
No, I totally agree. Why would you want to be on center with somebody bigger, stronger, and all that? Like, why would you want to be on center?
Well,
I,
there. I had a discussion with another guy. He was former instructor for police, and he was also a beat cop. He said that it's really difficult to go around the attackers. He was telling me sometimes because they disengage, attack, disengage, attack, disengage. And I say I
mm,
agree. I agree. So but the thing about it, I guess it's about contact and timing. If he's disengaging, you don't have to go around. But when they're big and they're pressing on you, you gotta go around.
yeah, I mean,
Right?
sometimes
So
and I understand if you're trapped in a corner, you're not gonna have a choice. I mean, I get that. Obviously, setting's gonna have a play in that. But if
so
provided
so
the options, I mean, yeah, you're gonna try to go around with somebody that's significantly
yeah.
bigger and heavier and what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I qualify that with moving around, finding a vacuum, and blindsiding from there
Yeah, no, I think
because I you
no, I think that's a great answer. I think this, obviously this is open ended, so I think it could have been a number of different answers. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
um,
I'm just coming from where I'm coming from because
yeah, no, I
that's been
understood.
my
I
experience
mean,
in the Philippines at my height and all that. It's okay. I'm average height over there, so I'm able to do big man techniques. All those power techniques, lifting, throwing,
mm,
and all that. And then you move to a different country where you have to crane your neck to talk to the next guy, right?
yeah,
Uh,
no, I
reality
know,
checks.
understood, understood. So you on your blog, I want to get into this, and this
Yeah.
has been fantastic, by the way. You put something on your blog that really I really enjoyed reading. And
Okay.
basically, I hope because I hope this makes sense and that it kind of where you actually kind of remember what you wrote on there. But it's basically I enjoyed your summation on forms. You were kind of writing about
Oh,
forms, and that really resonated with me because I hate forms. Like
oh man,
if they're
I know what you mean.
smaller numbers, like a four move memorized form, I can handle it. But when they get like really, I just
Yeah,
fell them.
yeah.
I just suck. Just to be so because of that, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying from my experience, I dislike them. I'm not saying they're bad and nobody should do them. I don't want that to get misconstrued. But I really enjoyed what you said and what you were saying. That what can you hopefully that you recall this on the blog.
Yeah, but I'm pulling up the blog right now. I'm trying to remember
Oh,
what
okay,
was the
okay,
first
yeah. It's
video
just
that was.
because what I wanted to
Yeah,
do is um, if you can expand on that. It's just something I thought was really well presented in the way you were talking about it.
yeah. Do you remember which article that was?
It was
I'm
the
so
blog. It was basically in Messenger. You had sent me the link to your blog,
yeah.
and actually, I could probably I could pull it up here. And what it is let me just find it here. Here we go. Again, it was something I thought really neat in regards, and basically, it also kind of tied into Carenza and the way you were talking about. And let me see if I can find it here. Okay, and basically it's under your video, and basically it starts out. There's a lot of growth misunderstandings about what traditionalists mean about form, like leaping in between
Oh,
convenient.
we're talking about the yeah, yeah, the one with the gear is the photo. It's the one, the article with the photo with gears, right? I think that's it.
Yeah, let me see. Whatever shape or form is basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Hopefully you can find it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's this one. The in defense of tradition, that could be that one, or the or on the timely practice of traditional martial arts. Because I was on a traditional versus tactical kind of
Yeah, and to me, I just
thing then.
enjoyed the read. Like I just remembered a flashback to like me. You know? So, but just for the folks that are watching, like we kind of parallel the two Carenza and some of the benefits. And I was just thinking, like, what can you tell us, the folks? I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, uh, you know, this thing about uh, forms, because I, for a guy who doesn't like forms, because uh, I I I also teach Tai Chi, which is like the the stereotype form
Yeah,
practice.
yeah, right. Yeah, if you're gonna pick an art, I mean, Tai Chi for
Yeah,
sure. Sure.
you got so many movements to memorize and learn and all that.
Yeah, I would
But
fail.
and here I am saying I hate form. I hate doing. But
Mm.
the thing about it is, um, it, it's not for me. It's not really about the memorization. I complain about having to memorize. Because in the end, you can't really you're not fighting with what you've memorized,
Mm.
right? So generally,
No, no,
what
that's
I like,
yeah.
yeah, you can't preset that, like all these video games that, oh, I have a set of preset moves and then
Yeah, yeah.
I've memorized it. You attack this way, then I no, it's not gonna
Right,
work,
right.
right? So what for me it does is it teaches me about the feel. It's about refining the feel.
I like
And it
that.
doesn't even have to be a long form. It's just like repeating two, three, four movements just to refine the feel from contact, without contact, moving forward, moving back, refining, and then, changing tempo.
Mm.
Yeah. Because if you have five movements, then you can do a two beat, three beat combination, or 1-4-1, or a one,
Okay.
three. You can change up your rhythm. So for me, that's where the forms come in, because since it loops, it allows you to go faster and faster and refining it. Because from my experience doing long forms, like Tai Chi, some of the forms are 108 moves. So you know you're gonna end up. what 20, 30 minutes just practicing one whole set, and how good did you get doing just one, right? Unlike you break it up into little movements and you can get
Mm.
reps. So it's for me it's about the reps.
No, I like that, and putting them in smaller numbers, and that. No, I just again, it was like it was kind of refreshing to read. Like it kind of, I, I guess more or less, it was like refreshing to hear somebody else experience kind of what I did and all that. So, but all right, we got all right. So current, look at all right, current reps in the world, basically, like for you, like who do you got basically that's representing you?
Well, ooh, okay, so let me okay, off the top of my head, let's start with the United States. So in Virginia, Washington DC, I've got Angelo Garcia.
Okay,
So
I've
he's
heard
there with this
heard of him.
DC Lightning. In Houston, Texas, there's Robert Montifar. He has a karate school there. He's also associated with the One Hapkwendo group of Al de Cascos with Sifu Al. So there's that. From him, there's a study group in Dallas under Christy and John.
I'm sorry, who was that
And
in Dallas?
um, Christy Jackson and
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah, so they're actually connected to the Texas the Houston group. And in Seattle, in Seattle, Washington, there's Andy Wilson. It's MKG Seattle under Andy Wilson, and he's got two of his instructors, Bryce and Vince, who are helping him out,
Okay.
promoting Lightning there. And in Canada, I've got Brando Marasigan. He actually was teaching my group in the Philippines when I moved here, and then eventually he moved back to Canada.
All right. Okay.
So that's North America. Then I've got one of my guys. He's an Israeli who moved to South Africa. He's in Costa Rica. So that's Eldad Yeager. And let's not forget Tom Pena in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Um, I'm connected with, of course, there's the Philippines. So the group Sangkil Karasak, which is under Fatima, who's here online with us. Yeah, she's in the association. And there's also another guy who's further into the province, Sherwin Calatin, who is connected as well. We've That's in Laguna, which is it's like the Bayside coastal region, so it's a nice place to have done seminars.
Okay.
We've got uh, we've got that's Philippines, Australia. So we've got David Bardos and Irvin. Uh, uh, I'm really bad with names.
That's okay.
Yeah,
No, I mean it sounds like though
Irvin De
they're
Castro.
fantastic.
We've got Irvin. Yeah. So we just okay. So we've got Hong Kong where we've got Hong Kong under Kim, and then we've got South Korea under Gil, and let me see. Oh, yeah. Pulling their names out of hats is kind of interesting. Yeah. So the group Kilat Sinjata in Singapore is also associated with us. We've also got. Let me see. I think I need to pull up my notes. Yeah. Okay. So we've got them. Let me see. Give me a second. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned the USA. Okay. Of course, I'm here in Israel, Hong Kong, Vietnam. Yeah, that's it. Guy. I've got a guy named Guy in Vietnam. So
That's
I
good.
guess that's my representation.
That's fantastic.
It's the work of a decade or so.
Yeah, but obviously obviously you've inspired many. You're doing something right. If you got reps all over like that, that's fantastic. You know, that's great.
Well, it's for me. It's about commitment.
Mm.
It's one of those things that how do we say this? Part of my commitment to Mang Ben was to preserve, protect, and promote his system
Mm.
and share. Basically, it was like the whole have a stick will travel kind of mindset. And I make the joke that I'm like tech support.
Excellent.
It's like, oh, somebody's practicing lightning somewhere like this, and they need some help. Like I think in your interview with Tom, that was pretty much how Tom and I started. I was tech support. He had a few questions with some techniques, and I said, okay, so I'll
Oh,
help
okay.
you out. No worries. And also here the other guys are like, uh, they want to move forward in their experience, move forward in their own personal training and
Mm.
personal journey. Okay, so if I can help, sure.
No, that's great.
Let me know what you need.
Yes, obviously you're easily accessible. No, that's great. Great, great. What So before we get into
This was before good internet. Do
oh
you
before
remember the
oh
old
wow.
dial? Do you remember the old dial-ups?
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Yeah. Hopefully we'll never
yeah,
see that again.
I hope
um,
so.
so obviously within the constraints of this miserable mess we're in, like what are your goals
Yeah.
for the future for the organization?
To infinity and beyond, pretty much.
Yeah.
Keep keep doing what I'm doing, maybe in different ways. I mean, but by default, it's promoting this through seminars, workshops, training. That's
Yeah.
festivals. That's pretty much default. But we uh, I guess we need to look beyond that and trying other technologies. How can we do this through other technologies? Like this
Yeah.
is great right now that we can actually do this. Like I'm doing this from my cell phone, which is
I know.
unheard of like
Think
years
about
ago,
that.
right?
I know.
So this
I
is this
know,
is
right?
this is great. I'm constantly yeah, my blog's not updated, but the blog is there, the YouTube channel is there, the Facebook posts are there, so I'm doing projects with my guys. They constantly, we're passing around. We call it homework,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I
we're
know.
passing that around. Okay, how about you send in your homework? How about you try this? I try that. Let's try something together. Let's do this.
Hmm.
Similar to what the Jack is doing with his with the Global Carenza project.
Yeah, I know. Another fantastic thing going on. Yeah, absolutely. So demos, whatever you want to show us. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Does anybody want to see something? I don't know.
Yeah, a few people said. I mean, but whatever. Again, wherever that's lightning scientific. You know, I think people would love. You know.
because in this situation, the two-man drills are out. There's nobody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I know. I
Yeah,
know. I know. I know.
yeah. What I could do, well, we could I could show you some of the stuff we've been working in terms of difference or comparison between traditional and the stuff that we're doing
Oh, I think that'd be
for
fantastic.
the
Yeah.
tactical. It's such a funny word, tactical. It's just such a
Tactical.
great marketing buzzword.
Tactical knife. Tactical baston.
It's
Tactical.
yeah. I mean, I just take it with a grain of salt. It's like that's
Yeah.
what the industry and market know it as.
Yeah.
So to try to explain that, tactical, it doesn't really mean what you think it means,
Yeah.
but that's
Just
what they think it means.
when it
So
first came
I mean,
out, but then it just got yeah, just blown
yeah,
out.
it got overused.
Yeah. What a
We make the joke about it. I mean, I don't even wear camouflage pants. No, it doesn't. No.
I know. I don't know.
I,
I'm not gonna even say anything on that.
yeah, I can't. I can't because one, I'm living in a country where a huge population, have enlisted,
Mm,
right? And and some and there are many of them still active, actively serving.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a reality check. It's a reality check that you cannot, you can't be a poser.
yeah. Especially there. Yeah,
Right? That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so great. It's like
yeah,
you can't, you can't be a poser that this is tactical military, blah blah blah. They know what military is.
yeah, yeah. I know that whole thing is
Right?
just yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're doing here is okay. No, we're talking about we're talking about close quarter combat, and weaponized close quarter combat. So that's the mindset. It's no longer, oh, this is this is tactical, this is military, this is no, we're not even talking that. We're just talking, okay, this is good mechanics.
Yeah. Talking about
This
saving
is
your life
good
and getting home.
sustainable mechanics. And it's like, yeah, go home alive.
That's
That's
what I
pretty
mean.
much protocol.
Saving yourself and
Protocol
getting
Omega.
home.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's pretty
real.
much
Yeah.
that. I'm going to move so
Sure,
that
sure.
we have some room. Some of my guys know this room. They can see it. There's my buddy,
Yeah. All right. Hey,
right? Uh, okay, so I guess I'll start with a little talking that, classically, when we're talking about weaponized combat, the weapon is really, we really need to have an understanding of what the weapon is and what it's going to be used for and used, against, because, like, I'm seeing a lot of long weapons, let's say, stick length weapons, the standard stick length weapons, and but being used very close, right? So this is,
yeah.
part of the um, dissonance that, I feel. I mean, when there's room, there's distance, we can be firing from out here,
Yeah.
right? Now, if I'm firing these big looping swings this close, then that's where you get engaged by the Krav Maga guy,
Yeah. No,
boom,
you're
going in
right.
and inter-
Yeah.
intercepting your overswing, right? So this is where we're trying to manage the distance with much shorter movements. So this is where um, we start working in the close range from working chopping swings that are tighter. That way, there's always, as this clears, there's that check on the center. This
Mm.
intercepts, this clears. There's always that forward pressure. Now, I'm doing a simplified version of that, but it's coming from a traditional root of from the 12 metodos, which are methods 2, 3, and 12, which are espada y daga, sword and dagger methods, coming in from the espada daga. It starts from there, then maybe cruz and horizontal or espada y daga cruz with the overhead, espada y daga cruz, and against that, there's a intercepting strike over there. So that would be the root of that set
Okay.
of movements, right? So it's a lot of this. But stick length becomes an issue because it's not really portable. So
Mm.
you start using something shorter, akin to a telescopic baton. And because of that, you can't really swing big because of also the close range recovery takes much longer. So the movements become tighter. Instead of swinging wide, they become tighter right down the center and they become a sharper V. So
Mm.
that's what's happening. And from that, again, I told you I'm a short guy, so I can't be here forever. I need to be here, and I need to either scoop him around and get behind him. You know?
Move. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
classically, I would be working classically this way, right? That would be classical. But I can't always be working like that. Uh, how do we say this? Because I need to move forward. So maybe I'll be working here and moving in. Or from this
Mm,
bounce here, charging in and starting to go high and low. So it loses some of the mechanics of the movements of the espadida, but the beat is there. I'm charging, bam, 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 bam.
yeah, okay.
So that's part of the shift in the mindset. So I'm using the classical material to refine my emotions, right? To work where I should be in terms of power generation, mobility, movement, recovery, right? But when I'm playing a more tactical mindset, right? I'm charging. Whether I need to move here to lift this up, right? What's maintained is that because I've established that rhythm of movement, right? Once I've established that, I can carry that into other movements, other techniques, because I've established that I can backhand from here, charge from there. From here, I'm shifting my weight forward, so I can step or I can go under, hook that, sweep that. So
Mm,
the classical espadidago should be working from here, going on the outside. This has helped me train mapping.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
That I no longer need to know, oh, the hand is here, I need, oh, the elbows are no. The practice of the classical has helped me with my mapping that when I start working uh, a more aggressive game, my body is already, the measurements and the distancing and the positioning. So it's like basketball. Like in basketball camp, they make you do all these two-hand dribbles, right?
Yeah.
But what it's teaching is when you pass the ball behind your legs, you know where the ball will be
Yeah.
when you move it around. So it's the same kind of methodology. Also teaching us transitions where it's not just about using the weapon as the weapon, but also using the other parts of the weapon for locking, structures for setting up, right?
Mm,
So maximizing on the tool because the range has changed.
yeah.
So, you know, if if he allows me by maybe disengaging, moving far, then okay, great. He moves far, I'll chase him. I can chase him with the big swings all over again. But the reason for engaging him up close is you don't want him as a threat to go anywhere else.
Yeah. Family members or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to blanket and smother him and keep him here, right? And then when if family flees to safety or coast is clear, you have the option either to disengage safely or
Mm,
destroy the threat. It depends on. I tell them, is it your occupation? I tell them, don't no superhero complexes. You know,
yeah.
you're go home alive.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so this is where all that traditional stuff starts coming in, right? So the classical stuff, the classical mechanics, for me is a great way to refine and build all of this because if I'm gonna just go boom, ish, if that's all I'm teaching, right, then that's a short curriculum.
It's very
It
short.
may
Yeah.
it might it might be effective, it might be useful, right? But you know, this is where I ask the guys, okay, that's great, keep it in your pocket, keep it ready, but can we, would you like to push your potential?
Mm,
Because if you're not fighting every day, you know, do you want to keep it at the bare minimum you need? It's like if you only aim for the bare minimum that you need, then when you need more, where is it gonna come from?
that's a good
Right?
point.
So,
Mm,
right? So even some of the techniques that are classical, working like these, all of these, they're
Okay.
nice. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So techniques like that, all those classical techniques, they're nice. The flourishes and all that, they're great. And and I tell my guys, it's an exercise in refinement. You
mm,
know, push yourself beyond, beyond what's the usual. I tell them it's like it's a shame to how do we say this, to just taste little when the whole buffet is open.
yeah, it's a
So
great analogy.
so all of these things are working. All these techniques are working, which starting from the classical, right? Once I start working, you know, with like shifting, the same techniques are working. It's working here.
Mm,
So shift. So the mechanics has been trained, the movement has been trained, and we're now refining. So uh, the idea, I tell the guys that these are tools. It's a great thing where you say, oh, it's you are the weapon. It's a how do you say? It's a great motivator, right? But you know, uh, if you want to work the knife, you got to work the knife. If you want to work the hand to hand, you got to work the hand to hand. You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
just say I'm gonna work stick and then oh now I know the hand to hand. Now I know the sword.
No, you
No,
got to do each one. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you got to do exactly.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
That
where
was
we're.
fantastic.
That's
I really like the way you paralleled the two, like you said, the classic, and then take and just shorten everything and reducing, when you're in close.
yeah,
I thought that was well
yeah. I
done,
mean,
well presented.
I I look at the classical material as the armory.
Mm,
That's your armory. Your tactical stuff is what you hang on your belt when you leave the armory,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That was
So,
fantastic.
but maybe today I'm gonna work. I'm gonna pull out. This is what I'm gonna take today. Tomorrow,
Yeah,
something else.
yeah.
It's. I've made the. I've made the comparison of be like Batman. Have all the toys.
Yeah. I mean, no, that was enjoyable. I thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. No, that was a great demo. Yeah.
So anything else? Anything else that crosses your mind?
Nothing. No, I really liked how what you like again. Like how you basically showed what you do in your system. You take, you took the classical and use it as a bridge to your combative aspect, and you basically showed, how you do that. I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Oh,
Yeah,
thanks,
as well
thanks.
as the how you articulated, why you do it and all that, and how you do it. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, uh, this whole thing where uh, people are like, well, people, right? The mindset where you're only supposed to fight one way. I find that strange, and it comes
Yeah.
from a lot of loyalty to system loyalty. Like you're only supposed to
Mm.
move like this, move like that. And what I say is like you gotta move like yourself.
Yeah, you are who you are. I mean, you gotta be true to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. One, I'm not Mang Ben. I'm not lefty. So, in as much as I would like to, which is a great goal. It's a great goal to try to move like him, and you know what he would do. I am not him.
Yeah.
So, uh, this is where it becomes important to try to internalize the principles, the methodologies, and make them work for you as you are.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not gonna get any taller. I'm not gonna get,
Yeah. Right. But
I'll hopefully get a little thinner, but
yeah.
right? Like for example, stuff where we're incorporating thrust, which is not normally in some of the combinations, they are not normally taught. Like, but I would teach my guys, okay, after defense here, you drop this down here. There's a thrust right there. There's a strike right there. Work this combination,
Mm.
because it's there. And some will say, okay, like for example, using that in conjunction with a lutan, a floating step, things like that. It's not exactly, how do you say this, uh, how it would have been done, but if I'm in this position and pressure comes this way, what's stopping me from sniping that head as I'm
Absolutely.
voiding, right? So it's more about getting the job done than trying to adhere to dogma.
Yeah, or trying to emulate a look.
Blind,
Mm,
yeah, blind adherence to dogma.
yeah.
That's what I'm against.
Yeah, no, no. Yeah, I know. Like you gotta do what works for you, and you gotta be true to yourself. It's your journey. It's not anybody else's. So you have to. Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, yeah. No, that was great stuff, though. I really appreciate it. I mean,
Oh, you're welcome.
this has been fantastic. You know what I mean? Do you have? I hope we didn't take too much of your time. We surpassed an hour and a
No,
half.
you caught, yeah, you actually caught me a good time because I just finished the class before we got
Yeah.
here,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the adrenaline was there.
Oh, good. So we. Oh, good. 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 Yeah.
It's all
Good.
good.
Good. No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for doing this. I thought I loved it. Especially
Oh, you're
the
welcome.
way you presented the material, and you actually made it very clear and articulated, like how you meant it to, and it was demonstrated physically right there. That was one of the better displays of show
Oh,
and the
thanks.
tell. That was fantastic. So
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. I mean, oh, that's life here. That's life here. I can talk about it as much as I want, but if they don't feel it, like my wife and I had my wife and I have a code word for situations where um, I taught her to say banatan mo na, which means give it to him, smack
Uh,
him. Because over here, my first my first few months
yeah.
here, I was pulling back my shots. So we play it, bring out some sticks, blah blah blah, and every time I do a technique where I pause the strike right there, control, and demonstrations like this in Asia in general, where you're showing pinpoint control, people respect it,
Mm.
right? People will say, "Oh man, that guy's control was awesome. He stopped right before. He was able to control it right before making contact. He pulled it back in time. Awesome." Doesn't work here. No, no, doesn't work here. Here, you pull back. They say, "Oh, you missed."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or you,
that's
or uh,
become
or you become a
uh-huh.
casualty, a
Yeah,
statistic.
exactly. You hold back, and they don't. So,
Yeah.
well, that's where things. Yeah, it was a shift in mindset. I genuinely had to go through a um, a mind a mindset paradigm shift.
Mm.
Yeah, to be able to do this. But all in all, for me, it's been an enjoyable experience. It's uh, this whole thing about trying to showcase not just the techniques of the system, but rather how the principles of the system itself are sound.
Mm.
It's not just about memorizing X number of techniques, because I think I saw one of the questions is am I preserving it, or am I changing it? No,
Yeah.
I think the path is to have to protect and preserve the core
Yeah.
for future generations and all that. It's the seed you pull from.
Right.
It's a seed, and everything else is what you got to do, what resonates with you.
And the times, like, I mean,
Yeah, it
you
has to be
established very well that you're
responsive to the
keeping
times.
what was given to you by Mang Ben earlier,
Yeah,
but you're also showing the involvement for where you live and all that.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
traditional will be working this set of pa 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 pa. I would include little kicks inside.
Mm.
Okay, I'd be doing sweeps, kicks, right, low kicks and all that, setting up for right into my what we would call baston cerrada, or the how we play with the baston in the close range, right? Classical would be pa 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 pa. That'd be classical. But
Mm.
I play pa 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 with a punch, set up with the elbow up there.
Right.
I incorporate some of the close quarter techniques of inserting a punch, hooking there, inserting the knee. I'd insert it there because I know how to punch and kick as well. So do I want to confine myself to I confine myself to this for training and cleaning up and refinement. But if you're as a fighter, you want to take advantage of your advantages.
Yeah, sure. Use your strengths. Sure, sure. Yeah. No, that was
Yeah. So
well.
that's
That was
yeah,
fantastic. I mean, um, there's been great comments
that's
on
the
here.
coffee.
Yeah, I'm really,
That's just the coffee talking.
yeah, no, 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 no. I'm just so glad, we finally got you on here and all that. I'm glad we got to make it happen. You know, so I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're
Yeah,
very welcome.
yeah. So what I do is I take it, I download it, and what I'll do is the YouTube version. I'll definitely tag you on your wall and all that.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, no. And again, this has been an absolute pleasure. And, I hope you know, again, what I always try to do is, I always try to get people back on, time down the road and all that. So hopefully
Yeah.
when this mess ends and you're out,
I know
doing,
you've got a long list, so
yeah, yeah,
it's all good. I'm around.
yeah, yeah.
I'm around. That's it.
I always like to get people back on, especially like what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is the next one, get like you, we can get you and Tom on maybe or something. That would be fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, get you
Yeah.
both on there. Yeah, we'll have to coordinate the time though. But I'm sure.
He is 2 hours
Oh, that's
after me,
we can make that work. We can make
so we're actually closer together.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I can easily make that work. I've been used to dealing with
Yeah.
12 hours, and somebody's on the West Coast. They're 3 hours behind me, and
Oh yeah,
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 so that would be easy actually. that would be that would be no problem. But
yeah.
again, I want to thank you so much for doing this, Maestro.
Oh, all good. Thanks. It was a pleasure. It was an honor.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. And what I'll do is like I said, I'll send it to your wall, and I'll tag you in it and all that. But hey, in the meantime, though, stay safe. Take care of yourself, and thanks again.
You're very welcome, and well, to everybody listening, thank you very much. Um, well, just a shout out to my guys. I already mentioned some of the guys, but I also want to thank John Minarski because he was one of the first podcasts, one of your casts that I watched.
Yeah, I had him a while back. I did. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and after that, I say, oh, this is interesting.
yeah,
Let's keep watching.
yeah.
Yeah, we keep in touch a lot. Actually, we're messing around with Piper.
Oh, I do it too with Boyd. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. So it's another interesting thing that's coming around with
it's
with
it's,
knife in general. And
it's pretty wicked.
it's like a great movement puzzle for anybody who's doing Filipino martial arts. It's a
I'm telling
great
you
movement
because
puzzle.
it is because what Lloyd allows you to do is bring stuff in there long as it makes functional sense. If it makes functional
Yeah, yeah.
sense and it improves on the existing content, he lets you do it. Like I've already bought a few things, but yeah, it's neat. I mean, FMA is my love and always will be. However, though,
Yeah.
it's pretty neat stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I mention it because in the tactical mindset, right? Okay,
it's
it's interesting because it's going outside of what we're used to with the knife, all those hubad, all those flow
this
exchanges and all
is
that, and this one. is a great how do you say this? Because it's organic,
Very organic.
it's a great way
And the bottom line is
to
for you to
understand.
forget. It's a criminal system.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah. I
criminal
mean,
legal system. It's not dueling.
it's a
It's
great counterpoint. Yeah,
yeah. So it's
it's a
some
great
nasty,
counterpoint to our FMA.
yeah, some nasty stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I mean, FMA being most of the movements being geometric, and this one being a organic counterpoint. It's a great experience in movement puzzle. So, you
No,
know, when it comes to this and what we're doing, this is along the lines of where we're going.
yeah, yeah, right. Because there's always something. But yeah, I agree. It's good stuff. I'm glad I'm doing it. It's a different lens for sure, but it's also a
Uh-huh.
lens where he allows stuff to come into it that will improve upon the system and make it more to date. He's a firm believer, in
Hmm.
evolution. So very
Yeah.
open-minded individual, great teacher. Sounds like you. So, you know, the way you're actually open-minded. You know what I mean? So, you know.
Yeah, yeah. One of these days I'll meet him. One of these days when we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
free.
When it's a whole mess, I know. There's so many people I
Now,
want to
now
meet.
who's talking like a criminal?
I know. Yeah, yeah. When it's whole mess end. So, but all right, sir. Well, thank you again.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
You guys, you too, everybody. Thanks and thanks for watching and take care, everybody.
All right. Be good. All right. That was what an excellent show he put on. That was fantastic. Um, I don't know. That was definitely well explained how he merges the two. I thought that was really, really well done. So who's coming up next? This Thursday actually is a double header. I kind of got behind with some cancellations and what have you. So Thursday at 3 will be Steve Grody, Burton Richardson, and Dwight Woods all coming on. And then at night at 7, Tuhan Ray Dionaldo. So normally I don't do double headers. It's just how it kind of worked out again with some of the stuff going on. But again, Thursday, double header. And for those who are watching and chimed in and all that, thank you so much for the questions and the comments. And again, if you haven't, please hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. Take care, all.